Here, we'd like to focus a little bit at the show today on the Stan Perry Memorial coming up this weekend at Bear Field in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And we have special guest Lionel Perry, which was Stan's brother. And, Lionel's been a part of this Stan Perry Memorial race forever, and it's the 10th one. And anybody that knows Stan knows he raced the number 10. And Lionel, he helped Stan while he was racing, crew chief, all kind of things. And brought Lionel in today because I know this is a very special race in his heart and to the family, and we want to give them some time to promote this race. And some of our guests, like Chad Portman a couple weeks ago, racing for Jack Landis, which is a member of the family too. It'll be their first race, and I know Chad's really gunning for this deal too. But we welcome aboard Lionel Perry today.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me in today. As Dwayne said, it's definitely going to be a special deal. Dave Mazzillo, that runs Bearfield Motorsport Park, has come up with the race for this event. It is a 10-lap, $10,000 winner-take-all, and you had to previously raced against my brother to be able to enter into this race.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting.
Oh, yeah, that makes it interesting. And $10,000 winner takes all. That means second pays zero.
Yeah. She's all or nothing.
Something tells me it could be a bump and run there towards the end of that.
You
that
think there
could
might be something,
could
the
be.
little paint traded there towards
There
the
could
end
be.
of the whole thing, possibly?
And you got any, some of the guys that's going to be in this deal?
Absolutely. Well, of course, as far as we know.
Right.
Unless something happens, Stan's son, Smoking Bud Perry, will be in there. He's won the last 2 weeks. He won 2 weeks ago at New Paris Speedway, won last week at Lorain County down by Cleveland. He won the last 2 weeks, so he's kind of on a roll. He obviously would love to win it. Stan's son-in-law, Jumpin' Jack Landis, who used to run ASA and is pretty well renowned in this area as well, as a great racer.
Yes, sir.
And then there'll be guys like Lightning Larry Zentz coming out of retirement.
Wow.
He's out of the Fort Wayne area. He'll be there. The Rorigs will be there. Tyler and JR there, a couple of hot shoes. Terry Seneker with Seneker Performance. I guess he's got plans on being there, which he's always wanted to watch. So they're going to be some big hitters there for sure.
Definitely, that's a who's who. Tyler Rohrig, I went to 3 pavement late model races last year, and he won all 3, and he started 20th or farther back in all 3 as well. And
wow.
And he's got a pavement sprint car ride. Like Lionel said, he's a hot driver, and Bud, like I said, he's been tearing it up the last couple of weeks. And how special would it be for Bud to be able to win something like this? I know it's always been deep family roots, and it just seems Bud's been close a few times and had the bad luck bug hit him, and I think that'd be very something if he could win this deal.
Yeah, for sure. He would nothing he'd like better than to win the 10th running of the memorial race, honoring his father. That's for sure.
Yeah. $10,000 doesn't mean a thing, I don't think, in that young guy's eyes.
Oh, no.
To
Absolutely.
be able to win that, you can have the $10,000. Just let me win. I'm sure is what he probably would say.
Yeah. Well, there'll be. I did a little figure, and there'll be 345 laps of feature racing Saturday night at Bearfield, and people's going to get their money's worth for sure. They're going to split the 110-lap race up into 2 55-lap segments, so it doesn't get boring for the fans. Because typically, sometimes on a big race like that on a short track, sometimes the leader will get out and he'll be gone, and it just kind of gets to where it's not exciting. So Dave come up with the idea of splitting the race, and then they're going to redraw based on where they finished, and then they'll reposition them and restart it and run the second half of the race. They're going to be able to do some small adjustments in the pit area during the break, and so it should keep it for an exciting evening, that's for sure.
Oh, definitely, and that's a good idea, and you see more and more of that on these big races, and it's made for better racing, and that's what you need for the fans. That's who comes through the gate, and then that's the name of the deal, is to have good racing. And this event's always been good, though, and I'm glad Bearfield's picked it up. I know you have a lap sponsor, still got some of those for sale. I know of that, and it pays lap money, which is one of the very few races that pays lap money. And I mean the whole tri-state region, not just Indiana, Ohio. I mean everywhere. Not a lot of races pay lap money.
Right. Yeah. There's with lap money and special awards, there's an extra $2,880 up for grabs. Some of the special awards are the Godfather Award. That's for the oldest guy making the race.
Okay.
Jim, you got a chance, buddy.
You might want to find you a super late, Jim. The furthest tow, which is an award I kind of came up with because doing this for so many years, I know how important it is to have people travel, quite a distance to get to some of these races. So there's a $75 award that at least help them with fuel money, even if they don't do well in the race. Best looking car, fast qualifier, and a hard luck award that's sponsored by Jason Deach, who I know is big on sponsoring this show and big into the auto racing. So we appreciate Jason and his help with this as well.
I see he's got quite a few lap sponsors too. I was checking them out because I seen it was posted on Facebook. You're still looking for lap sponsors, so we're throwing a few in there too. Some sponsorship too for it, and I see Jason had a bunch and a lot of local guys. Even Chad Portman, our guest a couple weeks ago, he's even putting money out there before he goes racing and sponsoring some laps.
Wow.
But now,
so how would somebody go about doing something like that, guys? If they wanted to be, if they're listening right now, they decide they want to be a lap sponsor. How would they get a hold of somebody to be able to do that, or who would they contact?
I'm not even sure if there's any left. I got a hold of Miranda Landis, Jack Landis, that had been Stan's son-in-law. So my brother's granddaughter, Miranda Landis, said last night that she had 9 private messages on Facebook. Wow. So she wasn't sure if she even had any laps left. She was supposed to figure it up and get back with me, but she's not sure that she even has any left. But they could feel free to call me at 419-212-2322 or send me a text if there's any left. We'll be glad to finish selling them out.
Wow. That's got to make you feel really good, though, that the people still, 10 years later, think that highly of your brother to be involved this way,
Yeah, true that.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything he loved any more than family and racing.
Yeah.
well, especially 110 laps, to get sponsored. I mean,
Sure.
some of these races are 50 laps, and people struggle to get that. And you're talking 110 laps, and let's speak a little bit about staying there, Lionel. I know you was very near and dear to his racing career a lot. I mean, like I said, like Jim just hit the nail on the head. I mean, still 10 years later, this is one of the most seeked after wins of any super late model driver in the region every year. This is one. I mean, this is on their target list. They circle the date as soon as that race is. Like, this is one of them we want to win. Just that's what Stan meant to all these people, because he raced in Indiana, Ohio. He raced pavement, dirt, raced in Indiana, and he won a lot, and always raced everybody good, and he was one of the true legends in this area of the sport.
Yeah, there was one thing about him. He went to enjoy himself. Mm-hmm. I tell people, you'd never know on the way home on Friday or Saturday night if we won or if we finished dead last, because the amount of fun we had was always the same.
I'll be darned.
Well, and he's a guy that was fast and good that people could approach.
Oh yeah, he didn't care if you drove in the beginner class or if you drove in the outlaw super late models like he did or the open wheel modifieds. Didn't matter to him. He was approachable by anybody that wanted to race.
And if you wanted to drink a beer, I think he'd do that too.
He'll do that with you afterwards as well, maybe.
He might have had a few of those.
He'd been known to have we was known to have to lock the gate at a few places.
That's fun.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes it good and fun. And that's what makes people. I mean, 10 years later, have a memorial race and still be one of the biggest sought after races there is.
Yeah.
I mean,
now again, I'm the new guy on the block here with racing. So Lionel, take me back. How did your brother die? What happened at that point in time?
He was just started his 40th season of oval track racing, and we was up in Lansing, Michigan, a little track called Spartan Speedway, and he was actually going for the lead in the main event and had a heart attack going into turn 1 and hit the wall right in front of me in turn 2, and
oh my gosh!
I got to him within probably less than 10 seconds, and all he had was the adrenaline, and he was done right then.
I'll be darned. Isn't that something?
Died doing what he loved to do.
You know what? I was just going to say that because I have said that numerous times, and to have a choice, and I'm sure he probably was the same way, not knowing him at all, but in hearing the stories a little bit that I've heard so far, if you're going to give him an option of going out that way, or being 85 years old and sitting in a wheelchair in some nursing home somewhere, not knowing anybody, not knowing what's going on, I guess what a wonderful end to the great racer. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially like Lionel said, 40th year, and I know he'd probably still be if he was around. He'd be trying to race still if he could. If he could.
He always told me. He said, if I ever get to where I'm in the way out there, he said, you let me know.
I'll be darned.
He said, I don't want nobody else telling me.
I'll be
Yeah,
darned.
but you still. I mean, he was still very competitive and winning races. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How old was he at that
60
time?
years old.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just a young fella, man. I'm
He was.
63 right now, so it's a young guy.
Well, the ironic thing is, he said when our mother passed away, we was all sitting around the dining room table because I'm one of 12.
Okay.
And he said, boy, he said, I hope when I go, he said, I hope I'm in my race car and I go just like that.
I'll be darned.
Yeah,
I don't think he meant in 15 months.
right.
No, I think he
Right.
probably was hoping for a few more years than that.
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah.
But to be able to do exactly what he had hoped for and go out the way that he did, gosh, what a story.
Oh yeah, and I mean that's what makes this race so special for everybody still, and for like Bud and Jack and them. I mean, it would mean the world to them to win this thing. I mean, it just really would, just because he helped their careers along and stuff, and it'd be cool to see them win one of this deal. And with this $10,000 bonus deal, it gives a little extra flavor to it, and a chance to maybe there's a couple trophies that's going to be given away this weekend.
Yeah. Well, the guy that runs Bearfield Motorsports Park actually was a racer himself before he took over all this promoting and whatnot. And he said my brother was one of the first ones to give him advice. He told him to go buy a boat. Dave said he'll never forget it.
That's funny. I like that because you know what they always say about boats, man. They're just a hole in the water to throw money into.
Well,
at that point in time, so they obviously
that's kind of like race cars.
Yeah.
exactly. Obviously, they finish ahead.
So they say you make a small fortune in racing, start with a big one.
And that's true. But none of us would have had it any way different. It was a passion and a love, and that's what we did.
Well, and lifetime of memories. I mean, that's obvious still with this, like you said, the 10th annual memorial this Saturday over Bearfield, and you hear more and more stories, just like we've been talking. I mean, you can't buy those memories. I mean, I've learned that at the racetrack for years. I mean, you can do whatever, but the stories. I've always said I could write a book and 90% of people wouldn't believe. They think I was full of crap on most of the stories that I tell, but actually really happened. And I know you're the same way because, I've hung out with some of your family members a few times.
Poor thing. Yeah, so the ironic thing about his racing and how he approached it, I read on Facebook probably 4 or 5 years after he died. I was reading an article, and we had won 4 features in a row at Angola on a car that I helped build, and I didn't even remember that. Just went to show that the wins, I mean, not that we didn't want to win every week, but the wins wasn't the most important thing.
Sure.
The most important thing was the camaraderie and going racing.
Yeah, it's amazing. We ask everybody this, Lionel. How did you guys get your start? Was this another one of those family traditions that were passed down to you guys?
Actually, this one's got a little different twist to it. Stan was helping a guy back in the day by the name of Dick Feehan out of Stryker, Ohio, and Dick was in a wedding. So he asked Stan if he could hot lap his car for him. Well, Dick being Dick, he got in a beer at the wedding reception, and Dick didn't make it back to the racetrack. So my brother raced his car for him, and he was hooked. That's all it took. And
I'll be darned.
he started building his own right after that.
That's amazing. How old of a fellow was he when that was going down? Probably.
Obviously not too old. because he was 20 years old when he
Yeah,
started.
20.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he was a teenager, I think, first time he got in one.
I'll
Yeah.
be darned. That is amazing. What a story that one is. That's one we haven't heard before.
But knowing Dick Feehan, I can believe that story 100%.
Yes, I'm sure you'd have no problem believing that.
All right. We have Lionel Perry with us here today, and we're talking about the event that's coming up this weekend that is the 10th annual event over at the Speedway in, where are we at?
Fort
Fort
Wayne,
Wayne,
Indiana,
Bearfield.
Bearfield Motorsport Park.
One living brain cell, and I don't have it written down. But, but we're on the throttle today thanks to Lob Auto Parts, Suburban Auto, AJ Door, Brian Ford, Jason Dietz Customs and Collision, Trailers and Trailer Repair, Fast Forward Motorsports, Brian Ford Lincoln, and Snyder Landscaping. We'll be back to talk a little more racing right after we step away to pay a couple of bills here on the queue. Like a senior moment there for a second. I had it all in my brain.
That's
there.
cool. It's coming out to race
Yeah.
that for you guys.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll try to race the big race, but I know he wants to race the 10 laps.
Hell yeah.
Of course, he's got one of them Toyota Racing Development motors.
Uh-uh.
Oh, my.
Who's this?
He's a guy out of Fort Wayne that's got way more money.
Yeah.
Like
you
everybody
say,
else?
Oh.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and he's got a, well, and he also, I think, I'm not positive, but I think it's Terry Seneca that builds Seneca race chassis.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I think maybe Larry might have been the money man to get him going.
Oh,
Okay.
probably.
So he's got the best chassis.
Oh, yeah.
Going.
He's always had the best everything when since raced.
And then he's got, I'd hate to guess what that Toyota racing motor
Oh,
cost
yeah.
him. I'm saying probably 50, 60,000.
Oh, yeah. That wouldn't
It is
surprise me
something.
one bit.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me one bit.
And it runs down the straightaway.
Well, he's got to be what? 7.
He's in his early 70s.
I say 72, 73
Really?
probably.
I'm
Where
pretty
did this
sure.
guy make his money? What did he do?
Trash.
Yeah, what was it?
I'll be damned.
EFM or EMI or whatever,
Really?
that big trash deal in Fort
Used
Wayne.
to be,
Yeah, it used to be a couple of different names.
yeah. Why in the heck can't I think of it? Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
he's dabbled in a lot of things and made a lot of money at all of them.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
National Serval.
Yeah, there you go. National
Okay.
Serval.
All right.
National Serval was his.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to talk about the race? Maybe we'll talk about the times and stuff, and
Yeah, we can. I got that all on here.
we'll promote it a little bit.
Qualifying.
Emissions and stuff. That way we can get some people over there. 15
we go,
bucks
guys.
to get in is not bad at all.
It's 20 for the grandstand.
20. Okay, there you go.
And we're back here
Still
on the
not bad.
throttle on a Monday afternoon with Lionel Perry and Dwayne Hancock. And guys, big race coming up this weekend.
Yeah, Bearfield Motorsports Park, the 10th annual Stan Perry Memorial, and Lionel, you got a couple more details for that as far as emission and race time. And like Lionel said, for 340 some laps of racing, it's a bargain, and I guarantee it'll be a lot better racing you see on Sundays on TV that race over 300 laps.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Practice begins at 11 a.m. on June 10th. They want to get an early start because they do have a lot of racing. Qualifying begins at 2:45 in the afternoon, so if you're one of those that likes to get there early and watch qualifying, and the racing's beginning at 5 p.m., so you're going to want to get there early. 5 o'clock, racing begins. Opening ceremonies is going to be at 4:30. I do know that the promoter of this place, Dave Mazzillo, is doing everything in his power to make this the biggest event yet. Along with the Stan Perry Memorial, he's also got the ARCA CRA Super Series, sponsored by JEGS. It's going to be another 100 green flag laps of racing. He's going to have all his regular classes, his late model sportsman, his open wheel modified, the street stocks and mini stocks, and the compacts. So you're going to get your bang for your buck. Pit passes are $30. Grandstands, adults 15 and older are $20. Kids 8 to 15 are 10. Kids 7 and under are free.
And it's Hall of Fame night there too, so I think there'll be a lot of guys, a lot of legends from the area. I think is going to come out to this one, being Hall of Fame night, being Stan Perry Memorial, this $10,000 deal. I mean, it's definitely going to be worth a $20 bill to get over there and watch. I mean, I think it's going to be, it is going to be the show.
Yeah, and Dave does a real nice job. His concessions are cheap. There's free parking. As he says, I got cold, cheap beer for those that's 21 and over and like to partake. It should be a big event. It really should be. Should be an awesome day. I plan on camping. He does have spots for people that like to camp. So,
well, and like I said, a lot of people like to get out there early, and it's looks like it's going to be a beautiful day from what I've seen. And what better way to go spend a day? $20, sit out, do a little bit of camping, a little bit of maybe day drinking while you're watching some guys go around qualifying, and 5 o'clock the races hit. I mean, sounds like a great day. The only thing I regret is we're going to be out of town with the sprint car, or else I'd be over there front and center. I guarantee that.
Yeah, well, that is going to be a difficult situation for you to be two places.
Yeah, like Chad Wilson, he ruins my life sometimes.
Don't you have one of those, you don't have one of those personal jets or those helicopters or anything that you can kind of go back and forth between the two?
I was trying to get Lionel's personal helicopter, but he told me it was down. He said it's grounded.
I only wish.
It's all tied up. This
Problem is, he'd send Shady's son to fly it.
That would not be good. Yeah, it's definitely a big family event for us. There's no doubt about that. It's a lot of work. Like I said, Jack's daughter takes care of all this lap money. Stan's daughter takes care of the 50-50. So they use that for his scholarship. They have a scholarship fund at Edgerton High School that they give out every year.
Oh, good.
So
okay.
it helps fund the scholarship program.
Well, yeah, and that's what it is. It's more than just a race, too. Like I said, you got the Edgerton High School deal you guys do with the 50-50, and, you guys, and I've seen you at many benefits, Lionel, yourself, it's you guys help out a lot in the community, and that's one thing that's always been strong with the Perry family, and it is a huge event, and I've been to this race several times. I've only missed, I think, 2 of them, and unfortunately, I'm going to miss this year's, but unless it rains in Portsmouth very early in the day on Saturday. But and it's always a big event. I think just your guys' section alone, there must be like 50, 60 people over there.
Oh, I'd say friends and family is probably closer to 150 because it's
Wow.
Obviously coming from a big family. There's usually about 90 at Christmas, so
Yep.
So that right there, when most of them are there, plus cousins and friends, we usually take up pretty good. We usually rope a section off for our family.
Well, and there's some people that this is the only race they go to each year. Some of the people, and that tells you how big the race is. Some people, this is the race they pick to go to, and I think it'll be good. And I'm very excited to see how this $10,000 winner takes all deal comes out, especially when you get guys like Larry Zent that's dominated at Bearfield at times against Tyler Rohrig and Bud and Jack, and there's going to be a lot of not only money on the line, but a lot of emotion and a lot of pride on the line for some of those guys too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be a fun event this weekend. Guys, before we get into taking another break and then getting into the results from last week and also what's up on the schedule for this week, I posted the other day something that's kind of close to my neck of the woods in my heart, the Hewitts and Earl Baldus both going into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Loved Earl Baldus.
There you go.
Absolutely.
That's why I wanted to bring that up, because I know there's a history between you guys and Earl. Give me your best Earl Baldus story. If you've got one that you can tell on here. How's that?
Well, a local buddy of mine by the name of Joe Roos and I had kind of been in the cold beer a little long one night, and we was walking to the campground, and Earl stops us. He says, "Boys, you firing them fireworks off back there?" I said, "Absolutely not." He said, "Do you know who is?" "No, sir, Earl." He said, "Here's the story. Raise your right hand." I solemnly swear he deputized us both. He said, "If you see who's doing that," he said, "I can tell by the looks of you two, you can handle yourselves." He said, "I want you to throw them out." And he said, "When my deputies get to you, you tell them that Earl deputized you." And he said, "And I got your back." He was probably the best racing promoter that I have ever been around in my entire life.
Oh, yeah, he took care of the little guys. And he didn't care, and I've seen it. The rules was the same for everybody when he was around, and he don't care. I've seen guys like Rick Ferkel that was a legend in this area forever. One of the most famous sprint car drivers, in his era at the time, get kicked out of Eldora. He didn't care who he was.
If he didn't care if he was 20 pounds light or 2 pounds light on the scale.
Yep.
If you was 2 pounds light, you was disqualified. That's
Well,
just the way it was.
Jeff Gordon got kicked out of there one night too, because Earl told him he wasn't good enough to race at the track because he caused a big race, a wreck. 16 years old, one of his first races there, caused a big wreck. Earl told him, he says, you're not good enough to drive at this track yet, and look what happened to Jeff Gordon's career. So he didn't care who he was. I mean, and Hewitt, oh man, I could go a whole 3 hours on that. I personally know Jack real well. Seen him a couple times this year, and he's another guy who put his heart and soul in this sport too, and he is what racing is lacking nowadays. Personal, he's another guy you could approach like Stan, but he wasn't afraid to mince words when somebody took him out or he had a thing called Hewitt's Law.
Okay.
And it was, if you didn't abide by Hewitt's Law, you could have ended up with a bloody nose or a black eye.
But he had the passion just like my brother did.
Oh, yeah. And they'd drive anything, anywhere, and they're coming to the front.
Safe.
Yeah, they're coming to the front if there's a will or a way, they'd get it to the front if they could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. But they're both going to be inducted in the USAC Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Isn't that what I read the other day?
Yep, which that's starting a week from today. We're going to be on the whole USAC National Tour for a week, so it's kind of neat that they announced that this week. And Dave Darlin, a guy I know forever, he's one of the most winningest drivers in USAC, just got put in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame this weekend too. So a lot of USAC, a lot of USAC news going on right now.
It's fun stuff. It really is enjoyable. Well, I'll tell you what, it's about 25 before the hour, 1 o'clock. We need to step away one more time, guys. When we come back, we'll go back and see who won and who didn't win last week, and what's coming up the rest of the weekend for racing around our area, and maybe in the Midwest where you can hop in a car and follow if you'd like to. It's 25 till 1. You're on the queue. Back here on the throttle in the last segment here on a Monday, the first Monday in the month of June, and racing totally underway now, Dwayne, all around us, and what hadn't started.
Oh yeah, everything's going full swing, and business is about to pick up, as they say, especially for me, starting tomorrow. I mean, in all seriousness, they could start tomorrow night and go almost every single night till the end of the month. So within reason of around here too, and I'll be trying a lot of that here. But yeah, over the weekend, I went to Attica Raceway Park on Friday, and Byron Reed won there the 410 sprints and debuted a brand new car. He raced against Tony Stewart's All-Stars the weekend before in his old car and won, and how better, I guess, to come out next week and get a new car and win. But Paul Weaver won the 305s, and Mike Boers won his second late model win of the series or the season over there on Friday night. And Saturday night I went over to Oakshade and supported the local guys a little bit. I haven't been over there at all too much, and I know they've been part of our program off and on, and really, really good late model race. I mean, came down the last few laps, and starting from 11th place, Devin Shields passed Rusty Slinks, won every late model race over there so far this year. Passed Rusty at the end, which that was good. Good for Devin. But Rusty Smith won the Sportsmen's. Rich Rifle won the Bombers. Then Lima Friday night, Tony Anderson won the Stocks. Mike Ligreen won the Modifieds. Bearfield Speedway, speaking of Bearfield, home of the big race this weekend, Terry Fisher Jr. won the late models. Steve Minnick Jr. the Modifieds. Casey Nash the Street Stocks. Christopher Howard the Mini Stocks. And Mike Jans the Compacts. Butler Motor Speedway up in Quincy, Michigan, got a couple of their A-mains in over the weekend. Ken Mackey won the sprint cars, and Bob Dooley took his third in a row on the street stocks. Fremont, Ohio, just down the turnpike, Californians Carson Macedo came in and won the 410 sprints. And one thing that you'd find interesting, Jim, they do it once a year, and I hear it's going to be last year for that too. They take guys that's raced all throughout their career and they can't race for, I think, for 5 years, and they call it the Legends Race. They bring them back, and when they first had it, there was all kind of guys do it, but there's down to 11 cars this year. But former track champion Eric Rankin won that, and a good friend of mine, Sean Valenti, won the dirt trucks. And that was pretty much in the action. And coming up this weekend, I tell you what, if anybody's listening and tomorrow night or Wednesday night are not busy, Montpelier, Indiana starts it off tomorrow night with Indiana Midget Week, USAC Midgets. There'll probably be usually 40 to 45 cars coming in the sport class or the non-wing sprints. Mm-hmm. But tomorrow night, Montpelier, Indiana, and Wednesday night, Gas City are two closest one. And the reason I'm saying that you should see this is because last year, and he's just confirmed he's going to be here again this year, Kyle Larson from NASCAR fame, that's been he's 9 points out of lead right now after yesterday. He led it most of the. We'll be racing a USAC midget tomorrow night and Wednesday night at Gas City, and he won last year at Montpelier, and it was one of the most spectacular midget races I've seen in my life, and I've been to a lot of midget races. Wow. I mean, if Chip Ganassi, you've probably seen how the midgets race, he might not like that too well, but of course. What Kyle told him earlier this year was, well, he didn't really need to race NASCAR, I guess, if he couldn't race sprint cars. So,
wow. But those guys usually put that right in their contracts.
Yeah.
Because those dirt guys, you can't get that out of their blood.
Right.
No.
I mean, if they've run midgets or sprint cars on dirt, they're hooked. I mean, I know Tony Stewart had it right in his contract that, yes, he could go race.
Yep, and that's what Larson's doing too, or trying to. And tell you, these are two little quarter-mile tracks, and USAC midgets on these deals. Last year, I mean, Larson had that thing up on two wheels a couple times and popping wheelies down the straightaway and took the win. So that starts tomorrow night, Montpelier, Indiana. Wednesday night, Gas City, Indiana. Then Thursday, the Dream down to Eldora, $100,000 late model race starts. So that's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this weekend down there. Friday, Boss, the non-wing sprints that we race with Chad Wilson are at Lima Land on Friday. And then Saturday, we got the big Stan Perry Memorial at Bearfield on Saturday. And then Sunday, Midget Week goes to Kokomo. So, and our favorite Australian, Sean Zemunik, he raced for the first time without wings last night at Kokomo and got 10th. So he's gearing up for tomorrow night at Montpelier. He's going to race Montpelier and Gas City. So a lot of stuff going on. So I'm probably going to try to go without much sleep this week because right now my schedule is to go with Sean Tuesday and Wednesday at Montpelier and Gas City, and Thursday go to Eldora, Friday Lima, Saturday Portsmouth, and then we get back and head to Pennsylvania for a week Monday. So.
Not a lot of time spent at Lob Auto Parts.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing. I'm not taking a day off till next week. So
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Well, I'm always off, but I physically won't be there.
If I'd known this was going to happen, I'd have wore boots.
That's right.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, Lionel. I think you summed it all up for everybody listening right now. At this point. Work.
I got to watch who I get for guests that know me way too well.
Yeah, that's
telling all my
no.
secrets.
That's no lie.
You're going to have to bring people in that don't know you.
I know.
That's going to be tough to do, too.
The problem is I think way too many people are starting to know me.
Exactly. That's the biggest problem we had. And that's not just starting. That's been going on for a couple of years. No doubt about that. Well, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Before we get out of here, one more time, guys, let's go over the race, all the details, tickets, all those things here, if people are still interested in trying to pick some tickets up and get their schedules lined up for this weekend.
Okay, yeah, it's going to be the Stan Perry Memorial June 10th at Bearfield Motorsport Park. Practice or hot laps, depends on how big a racer you are, begins at 11 a.m., qualifying's at 2:45, and opening ceremonies at 4:30 p.m., racing starts at 5 o'clock sharp, Pit passes are $30. Grandstands, adults 15 and older is $20. Kids 8 to 15 is $10. Kids 7 and under are free.
Wow. Great event coming up, and I know you're going to hate to miss this one. Dwayne.
I am, and I'm really excited when I was reading about the deal. I was wondering who the 10 drivers were going to be, and I mean those guys are not only they've been dominant in the area, like Larry Zent coming out. I don't know how many wins he's had. I mean, several. So probably hundreds. Hundreds.
Yeah.
A guy like going against Tyler Rohrig, that's one of the hottest pavement late model drivers last couple of years in the year, against Bud and Jack. That Bud's on a roll. Jack's won several races over the years too, and then you get a guy like Terry Seneca in there that's won probably in 6, 7, 8 states in this region. I mean. Yeah, it's going to be huge. I mean, these guys ain't no slouches. This is not your typical go to Bearfield, and you're going to see some of the best drivers of all times in this region over there Saturday night. I mean, you really are. I mean, it's going to be.
And I'm hearing that Brian Ross is going to be there too. He's another one that's won a ton of races.
Oh yeah.
I think I could be wrong, but he might have ran. I think he ran some ASA shows back in the day
I think
too.
So.
Just going to be a lot of good cars and a lot of good racers there for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be really good and worth the drive over there, Bearfield. Even though we've had one of our former guests tell me that Lionel's a legend.
Yeah, well,
and he also said he didn't care about dirt racing, but we'll see how he does this weekend on pavement.
Don't listen to Chad.
Chad's raced dirt before. Oh wait. He drove circles. I don't know if he really raced.
Well, yeah, you can't necessarily what Chad Portman does in a race car. You don't necessarily call that racing.
And with that, before we get anybody else upset, there's people that are fighting right here in the studio.
We gotta get him fired up to race hard this weekend.
That's it, man. That'll wrap it up for us today on the throttle. A big thank you to Lionel Perry for coming by and spending some time with us, man. Thanks, and come back, will you?
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it.
No problem whatsoever. Dwayne, that's going to wrap it up. You be safe this week, will you?
Oh yeah, and tell you, if anybody's not busy tomorrow night or Wednesday night, it'll definitely be worth the hour and a half drive to Montpelier or Gas City, because you'll see one of the best short track midget races. I guarantee you'll see all year.
He's just looking for somebody to drive him so he can sleep on the way home.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. And also buy him some beers while he's there as well, I'm sure.
You know him.
That's right.
That'll wrap up on the throttle today. Brought to you as always by Lob Auto Parts, Suburban Auto, AJ Door, Brian Ford Lincoln, Jason Dietz Customs and Collision Trailers and Trailer Repair, Fast Forward Motorsports, Brian Ford Lincoln, Snyder Tree Service, and VP Racing Fuel, the manufacturers of Stay Wet Track Conditioner. On the throttle again next Monday, as it always is, right after the noon news here on the Q.
That was awesome.